What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more punk rock. And we're back with a group I haven't reacted to in like 10 and a half months. Indeed, someone recently commented on a reaction I had done to 88 Fingers Louie, a Chicago-based punk band that originally included a couple guys who later were part of the first few Rise Against albums. And yeah, ultimately they reformed a couple times. They fell apart mid-90s, a few years after they started making music, and then late 90s they got back together for an album called Back on the Streets. I think they then went on hiatus for a long time, and then mid 2010s, I want to say like 2017, they came back for a further album, which I don't have, but I'm still working on getting that one, because I would like to hear what they sounded like much later. But yeah, bottom line, as I said, Chicago-based band in that newer style hardcore, meaning, I don't know, it's like some I think would categorize them as pop punk, but they're like a really hard and fast and like thrashy style of pop punk, if they are pop punk. And indeed, the only reason I would maybe call them that is because a lot of their lyrics are about like emotional feelings and relationships and kind of personal attitudes. They're not so much a political or heavy social commentary type of band, in terms of the lyrical content, at least the songs that I've heard. Now, they are songs that are maybe in between one of the two that I've already reacted to, Punk Rock Rulebook. It's about how they like, look, we make money off of this, but we try to keep true to our ethos, and we're trying not to work with companies that, maybe, or people that, aren't ethical and so on. So it's like, I guess there are songs that are a bit more in the social commentary territory. But again, when I got this album, which is their first album, Behind Bars, 1995, although the case is for a split they did with Kid Dynamite. I actually don't have the CD for that anymore, and I don't have the case for Behind Bars, so I don't know, I guess it works. But yeah, when I first got this CD back in the 90s, I remember thinking, like, I love their music. It's a different style lyrically than some other bands I was already listening to, Bad Religion, Propaganda, and so on, Subhumans. So yeah, this is a perfect segue to mention that this song, which is called I've Won, seemingly, as I'm remembering it, and I haven't listened for a while now, but as I'm remembering it, it's about being really excited about actually finding love and thinking that, real love out in the world, it's got to be pretty rare. I'm sure many people don't find it, it has this attitude that he's really, really fortunate to have found this connection, and he's, excited that she cares what he thinks about her, and so on. Like, it seems like it's reciprocal, it seems like it's symmetrical, and they're both really excited. So I've Won, the title seemingly, and it's, essentially the chorus, seems to be about, in the lottery of life, he's actually come up with a winning ticket, as it turns out. Which is interesting, because there's a couple other songs on here, like Pent Up, where it sounds like, he's in his home and he doesn't want to go out because he finds the world like intimidating and or problematic, and it's, there's a real psychological discontent in that tune. So, there's some different flavors on the album emotionally, but this one seems to be genuinely happy. But if you just heard the sonics, you'd be like, wait, this is like essentially a love song? Because it's, it's a rocking, raucous tune. So, as I said, I don't know what people categorize them as. Again, to me, it's like, it's not hardcore. It doesn't sound like the early 80s hardcore. It doesn't sound like Dead Kennedys or indeed Subhumans. It sounds more like 90s punk, but it's fast, it's aggressive, it's got power. So let's hear it. This is 88 Fingers Louie. I've Won from their, is it 1995? Just want to confirm here. Yes, it is. 1995 on Hopeless Records. And this is the song I've Won.
She wants to know all the things I feel.
Got that line. He doesn't feel like such a loser now. He's found this connection, which speaks to the evolution of the psychology of the album. And to be fair, Pent Up is the first track, and this comes much later in the album. It's, I think, 9th out of the 12 tunes. So, yeah, now it's making me wonder, you know, did I fail to perceive an evolution or an implied narrative of the psychology over the course of the album? Have to go back and re-listen. Again, like since I started doing reactions, whether it's techno or punk rock or pop music, whatever, classical music, once I began doing this, it's like, okay, well, anything I haven't listened to in a while, I'm gonna wait until I do it in this context, because then, you know, I'll have this experience and as a way, you know, to talk to people about the songs and so on. Whereas if I listen a bunch of times right beforehand, it's like, okay, maybe I can talk about it a little more in a little more detail in advance, but I think the surprise experience is perhaps sapped a little bit. So I haven't listened to this one in a while, and I forgot about that line, that like, and I don't feel like such a loser now, and also the line, which I think he says a couple times, like, I never imagined that I'd change my life for anyone, but like he's now doing it, and he's like doing it willingly and happily, because what he's getting in return is something he never maybe expected to get. So yeah, there's more subtlety to that song than I was remembering. So, yeah, a really cool tune. Again, it's rocking. It's like, if you like think about even punk rock songs where it's about, you know, romance or on some level, an intimate partner, they tend to be more ballad-like, you know, a bit slower and so on, but this one is just like, nope, it's a adrenaline-fueled love punk rock song. So, yeah, a really cool tune. Gonna react to some more 88 Fingers Louie. Again, it's been almost like a year, basically. And part of that is I just fell into, you know, some routines of reacting to certain punk rock groups. I've done a lot of Bad Religion reactions because a lot of people have started commenting on the Bad Religion reactions, and, you know, haven't done one in a few weeks, I think, maybe at least a couple weeks, so we'll get back to one of those soon. But yeah, also I've been going through some stuff I'd never heard before, Mad Caddies, and yeah, trying to get an occasional Propaganda reaction. So bottom line, so much more punk rock that I've yet to react to, but this is one of the bands I wanted to get back to, because even though, again, they were different from some of the other and, you know, more overtly political groups I was listening to when I got into punk in the 90s, they were an important part of, like, the sounds of my teenage years. I spent a lot of time listening to 88 Fingers Louie. This album, the live album, which I'm going to react to, which is called 88 Fingers Up Your Ass. I apologize if that sounds rude, but that's what it's called. And then also eventually the album from the late 90s, Back on the Streets. So yeah, I really enjoyed their sound, and it's funny, their lead singer, he's another one, maybe like Jesse Michaels from Op Ivy, where, you know, maybe melodically, in terms of the like pure sonorous quality of his voice, it's a bit rougher, it's a bit harsher. But like, I think he really hits some good melodies, even, you know, given that harsher sound, and yeah, I really enjoy the sound of his singing, even if it doesn't stand out as like, oh, what a melodious voice he has. So yeah, shout out, I think Buckley is his surname, so shout out to him, and yeah, let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.